For 10 seasons, CSI, Miami turned sun-bleached crime scenes and one-liners, delivered behind a pair of sunglasses, into a global phenomenon. At its peak, the show was reportedly the most-watched television series on the planet, syndicated in more than 200 countries. It made David Caruso a household name again after a rocky decade, turned Emily Procter into one of network television's most recognizable faces, and gave a generation of actors steady, high-visibility work under the Miami sun. But when the cameras stopped rolling for good in 2012, the cast scattered into very different lives. Some walked away from Hollywood entirely. Some quietly rebuilt their careers in new corners of the industry. And a few faced real, well-documented hardship that had nothing to do with tabloid invention. This is what actually happened to them, in their own reported words and records, not speculation dressed up as fact. David Caruso was 46 years old when CSI, Miami premiered in 2002, stepping into the role of Lieutenant Horatio Caine, the sunglasses-wielding, endlessly composed leader of the Miami-Dade crime lab. Caruso had already lived one Hollywood arc by then. He shot to fame on NYPD Blue in the early 1990s, left the show abruptly after a single season to chase a film career, and spent the following years in something close to industry exile before CSI. Miami resurrected him. Over 10 seasons and 232 episodes, he was the only actor to appear in every single one, and he became, by most reports, one of the highest-paid dramatic actors on television, reportedly earning around $375,000 per episode by the show's later years. When CBS abruptly ended the series in 2012, Caruso never gave a public explanation for stepping away from acting altogether. He simply stopped. In the years since, he has built a quiet second act in the art world, opening a gallery in Westlake Village, California, where he curated and sold contemporary and mixed media work, some of it from emerging artists he championed personally. Reports differ on exactly when the physical gallery space closed its public storefront, with some accounts pointing to the mid-2010s and others noting a continued footprint into 2025, but the through line is consistent. Caruso shifted from showings and foot traffic toward private sales and online platforms, while keeping a business named after himself running behind the scenes. He is rarely photographed. When he has been spotted in recent years, on errands in Los Angeles or carrying paintings into his gallery, the images have gone mildly viral simply because so few people have seen him at all in over a decade. Now in his late 60s, Caruso lives privately with his family, having remarried, and by most financial estimates has preserved a comfortable net worth built on his peak-era CSI salary, syndication royalties that still pay out as the show airs in reruns worldwide, and his art business. He has never returned to a starring role, and has reportedly turned down at least one opportunity to make a cameo appearance in a later CSI spinoff, choosing instead to stay out of the franchise that made him famous a second time. Emily Procter was 34 when she signed on to play Callie Duquesne, the ballistics expert whose warmth balanced out Horatio's icy control, and by most accounts from the show's creators, she was the very first actor cast in the ensemble. Procter had already built a career before CSI in Miami, with a recurring role on the West Wing, and she stayed with the Miami cast for all 10 seasons, one of the show's most consistent presences alongside Caruso. Since the show ended, her acting credits have been comparatively sparse. A guest appearance on White Collar and a role in the 2016 film Love Everlasting among them. But Procter appears to have made a deliberate choice to step back from steady television work. Her focus in recent years has shifted toward Groundbreakers Incorporated, a nonprofit organization she founded that works to create positive identity-building opportunities for children and adults facing difficult circumstances. She has also kept a hand in interior design, a passion she has spoken about publicly as running parallel to her acting career. Procter became a mother later in life, giving birth to her first child in her 40s, a milestone she has described as one of the more demanding and rewarding turns of her adult life, and one that understandably pulled her focus away from a packed filming schedule. Now in her late 50s, she lives a considerably lower profile life than she did at the height of CSI, Miami's popularity, splitting her time between her nonprofit work, design projects, and family. Adam Rodriguez joined the cast at 27 years old as Eric Delco, the underwater recovery specialist and Miami native, whose Cuban-American identity was part of the character from the start. Rodriguez has spoken candidly over the years about the uphill climb he faced early in his career, describing the difficulty of breaking into leading roles as a Latino actor in an industry that, for much of the 1990s and 2000s, offered a narrower range of parts to actors of color. Rather than wait out the industry, Rodriguez used his years on CSI, Miami to move behind the camera as well, writing and eventually directing multiple episodes of the series itself, a rare opportunity for a series regular at the time. He departed the main cast partway through Season 8 in 2009 before returning in a recurring capacity, and since the show ended, he has continued working steadily as both an actor and a director, expanding into producing as his career has matured. Rodriguez is married to model and actress Grayscale, and the couple has 3 children together. Now in his 50s, he continues to balance acting with his work behind the camera, having built the kind of multi-hyphenate career he has said was born directly out of the barriers he faced early on. Jonathan Togo was 27 when he joined the show in its 3rd season as Ryan Wolf, the meticulous, perfectionist rookie brought in to fill the void left after the character of Tim Speedle was killed off. Togo stayed with the series as a regular for the remainder of its run. Since CSI Miami ended, his credits have included guest appearances on shows like Lucifer and Covert Affairs, a role in the 2018 television movie Christmas Cupid's Arrow, and a part in the streaming film Little Wing. His post-show career has been quieter than some of his castmates, built more around selective guest work than a headlining follow-up role, and he has largely kept his personal life out of the press. Now in his late 40s, Togo continues to work in television in a lower-key capacity than his years as a CSI Miami lead. Rex Linn was 46 years old when he stepped into the role of Sergeant Frank Tripp, the gruff, dry-witted detective who worked alongside the crime lab for the entire run of the series, appearing in 187 episodes, making him one of the show's most consistent supporting presences. After CSI Miami ended, Linn's career didn't slow down. He landed a recurring role as Kevin Wachtel on Better Call Saul, one of the most acclaimed dramas of its era, and joined the cast of CBS's Young Sheldon as Tom Peterson, putting him back in steady, high-visibility work. He has also appeared in Nashville, State of Affairs, and The Kaminsky Method. In his personal life, Linn reconnected with country singer Reba McEntire, whom he had first met decades earlier in the 1990s. The two did not become a couple until 2020, nearly 30 years after they were first introduced, and their relationship has since drawn considerable public attention and warmth from fans of both of their careers. The two currently co-star together on the NBC sitcom Happy's Place. Now 69, Linn remains one of the most actively working members of the CSI Miami cast, still appearing regularly on television more than a decade after the show ended. Eva LaRue was 39 when she joined the cast in Season 4 as Natalia Boavista, an undercover FBI agent embedded in the crime lab, a role that raised her profile considerably beyond her earlier work on the daytime soap All My Children. LaRue stayed with CSI Miami through the remainder of its run. After the show ended, she returned to her daytime roots, taking on the role of Celeste Rosales on The Young and the Restless from 2019 to 2020, and she currently appears on General Hospital as Natalia Rogers Ramirez, marking a full-circle return to the genre where her career began. LaRue has been married multiple times over the years and has spoken publicly about the emotional toll of navigating a long period during which she and her daughter, actress Kaya Callahan, were the target of a stalker, a situation that stretched on for roughly a decade before ending in a conviction. LaRue has since become an outspoken advocate on the subject, using her platform to raise awareness about stalking and the legal protections available to victims. Now 59, she continues to act while devoting time to advocacy work and her family. Condi Alexander was 45 when she took on the role of Alex Woods, the Miami-Dade medical examiner whose warmth and moral clarity made her one of the show's emotional anchors. Before acting, Alexander built an entirely separate career as a dancer and choreographer, working with major touring artists, including Whitney Houston, giving her a foundation in performance that predated her television work by years. She left CSI Miami's main cast after season 6, though she returned for guest appearances in the 2 seasons that followed. Her career after leaving the show has arguably been more decorated than her time on it. She earned an Emmy nomination for a role as Maya Pope on ABC Scandal, appeared in HBO's acclaimed drama Trim, took roles in the 2016 film Patriots Day, FX's What We Do in the Shadows, and CBS's SEAL Team. Now 68, Alexander has built one of the more critically respected post-CSI careers of the entire ensemble, moving fluidly between prestige cable dramas and network television in the years since Miami wrapped. Omar Benson Miller was 31 years old when he joined the cast in its later seasons, in 2009, as Walter Simmons, an art theft specialist whose size and easy humor brought a different energy to the team during the show's final stretch. Before acting, Miller had been focused on sports, particularly basketball and football, and has spoken about how injuries closed that path before he found his way into performing, first through smaller roles and eventually into major projects, including 8 Mile and Transformers. Since CSI Miami ended, Miller has continued to work steadily as an actor while also expanding into producing and voice work, including a role in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now 47, he remains active in the industry, having built a career that spans acting, producing, and voice performance in the years since his time in Miami. Rory Cochrane was 30 when he joined the original cast as Tim Speedle, a forensic field specialist whose quiet intensity made him a fan favorite during the show's first 3 seasons, before the character was shockingly killed off in a season 3 episode, one of the more memorable narrative turns in the show's early run. For Cochrane, leaving Miami marked a deliberate pivot away from network television and toward independent film, a choice that traded a guaranteed platform for artistic range. In the years since, he has built a respected character actor career, with notable roles in films, including Argo and Black Massachusetts. Now 54, Cochrane keeps a low public profile, working steadily in smaller and supporting roles, rather than chasing the visibility his CSI Miami years offered. Not every story from the CSI Miami family has a settled, present-day update, and 2 of them are genuinely difficult ones worth telling accurately rather than glossing over. Michael Madsen, already a well-established film actor known for Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, and Donnie Brasco, made an appearance on CSI Miami as part of a long, prolific career that spanned decades and hundreds of credits across film and television. Madsen died on July 3, 2025, at his home in Malibu, California, at the age of 67, after being found unresponsive and pronounced dead at the scene. His cardiologist later confirmed that his official cause of death was heart failure, with cardiomyopathy, coronary artery disease, and chronic alcoholism listed as contributing factors, along with a clotting condition known as thromboembolic disease. Authorities ruled his death natural, with no foul play involved, and no autopsy was required since his own physician was able to sign the death certificate. Madsen had spoken openly in interviews before his death about the difficulty of balancing a massive career with a stable personal life, reflecting on his 3 marriages and 6 children. His family suffered an earlier, devastating loss in 2022, when his son Hudson died by suicide at the age of 26. In the wake of Madsen's own death, his sister, actress Virginia Madsen, released a statement describing him as thunder and velvet and mischief wrapped in tenderness, asking that he be remembered not as a public figure, but as family. Reports also indicate Madsen had been making real progress in his recovery from alcoholism in the months before he died, having reportedly been sober for a stretch leading up to his passing. Evan Ellingson was only 19 years old when he stepped into the recurring role of Kyle Harmon, the estranged son of Horatio Caine, appearing in 18 episodes between 2007 and 2010 and giving the show one of its more emotionally layered storylines involving Caruso's character. Ellingson's path after CSI Miami was marked by real, well-documented struggle. According to his family and later reporting, he began abusing drugs around age 19, following the death of his older brother Austin from a heroin overdose, a loss that appears to have been a turning point in his life. He stepped away from acting after 2010 and had not appeared on camera in more than a decade by the time of his death. In 2021, He spent time in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program and spoke publicly. In testimony later shared